here to my In Case I Go Missing binder. Apparently for DNA to be used from hair samples, it not only...
Hi, I'm currently getting my master's degree in forensic medicine. I also have an undergraduate degree in criminology and forensic science. And I came here to say this is insane behavior. There is a special brand of white woman who loves true crime and is therefore obsessed with being the victim of a violent crime. And it's insane and it's bad for your mental health. So don't do this. This is weird.
County man in jail tonight with the highest bond ever set by prosecutors after confessing he killed his 3 sons here. Body camera footage shows authorities arresting Chad Dorman on Thursday. He tells him he's not going to hurt anyone as his 3, 4, and 7-year-olds lie dead in the yard nearby.
What are you doing, man?
Hey, pretty coffee and all, man.
Can I roll over? I ain't gonna hurt you. I ain't gonna hurt nobody.
You got anything on you?
No, I ain't got nothing, man. Phone, that's it.
What's going on, man?
Nothing. Can I stand up? It's kind of uncomfortable.
I'm gonna get you here in a
I ain't
second.
running away. You can do whatever you want with me.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 21. This photo shows 8-month-old Zhao Bao, who is lucky to be alive because his mother stabbed him 90 times after he bit her while she was breastfeeding him. The world's scariest haunted house, McCamey Manor, requires you to sign a 40-page waiver and undergo a physical and mental evaluation. If you manage to make it through the house, you could win $20,000. But to this day, no one has ever made it through. The little girl who voiced Ducky in The Land Before Time was shot to death by her father, who then committed suicide. Roman Emperor Nero had a boy castrated, dressed him up as a bride, and married him, all because the boy looked similar to his previous dead wife. A 46-year-old man found and attacked a 13-year-old boy because the kid was killing him too many times in a game of Call of Duty. Disturbing things that you should never look up on Google. 16-year-old Daniel Petrie and 12-year-old Gabriel Kuhn were 2 friends from Brazil who were both fans of an online role-playing game called Tibia. But on July 23, 2007, after Gabriel borrowed some in-game money from Daniel but was unable to pay it back, Daniel became absolutely furious. He stormed into Gabriel's room and proceeded to attack and rape him. After that, he strangled Gabriel with a wire until he fainted and went on to cut off his legs with a hacksaw. Gabriel regained consciousness and screamed in pain, but Daniel just kept cutting. The autopsy revealed that Gabriel was alive while his legs were being cut off, but soon died after due to blood loss and pain. Daniel was later sent off to a juvenile offender and served just 3 years in prison.
Part 9 of Maddie Clifton. November 10th, just several days after Maddie had gone missing, Melissa Phillips decided to start cleaning her son's room. He was at school and she said that she felt the task would be overwhelming for a teenager because it felt overwhelming for her. After my last video, that statement just makes me angry, and it also makes me see how much Melissa Phillips babied her son, and I believe to this day she still is. When she got into the room, she noticed that the waterbed was leaking, so she went to investigate that a little bit further, and she said the mattress was soaked, so she was trying to find the source of the leak. She had pried open the baseboard and she saw something white and started to pull on it when she realized that it was the remains of Maddie Clifton and one of her white socks she was pulling on. Said she didn't know what to do, as if time stood still, and she called her husband, but she only got his voicemail. She said she waited for a moment, what felt like eternity, before she realized that the cops were always outside currently because Maddie was missing. I do respect her for this. She went immediately outside and told the police. She said as she walked outside, there was this last fleeting moment where she knew that all the hope that the Cliftons had that their daughter was still alive would be gone as soon as she said what she saw.
What is a crime that happened in your area that you think everybody should know?
This is Maddie Clifton. I personally hate that if you Google her right now, her murderer's image comes up before her own image, so take a good look. I'm sorry, I have a lot of rage concerning this case because I was about Maddie's age when she went missing, and she went missing in Jacksonville, Florida. Her photo was everywhere. The community was desperate to find her. My mother taught me like stranger danger from this case, okay? She was missing for a little over a week, and it's insane, so bear with me. On November 3rd, 1998, Maddie Clifton went missing. She was 8 years old. The community went nuts trying to find her, and across the street, the Phillips family was searching as well. Phillips, who was 14 years old at the time. The search went on for so long that they doubled it from $50,000 for a reward to $100,000. It wasn't until a little over a week later that Melissa Phillips, Joshua's mother, was cleaning his room when she thought his waterbed was leaking. When she looked under the bed, she found the remains of Maddie. Alright, it gives me the creeps to have him behind me. I literally hate the man. I'm thankful that Miss Phillips ran out and immediately told the cop. He is currently serving life in prison, but like and follow for part 2.
Today I googled what are some of the worst acid attacks ever recorded. So the following is a 5-part series about the acid attack victims, and I know that people prefer one long video, but honestly after researching this video you'll see why the following victims need their own video. This is Andreas Christoforous. His ordeal began in December 2014 when he answered a knock at the door thinking that it was a courier bringing Christmas presents. Instead, a man that he'd never seen before threw a beaker of sulfuric acid in his face saying, "This is for you, mate." He said that his t-shirt was disintegrated from top to bottom. It just rolled away into nothing. He started screaming and ran into the kitchen and just started splashing water all over his face and eyes to try get off some of the acid. His wife, who was upstairs with his 4-year-old son, heard the screams and quickly ran down. She said that the acid was so powerful that when she accidentally stepped in some, it burnt right through her socks. He was later rushed to hospital where the doctor told his wife and his mother that he may not live through the night. 90% of Andreas's face had to be reconstructed using skin from other body parts, including his scalp and his neck. He said that not having eyelids has probably been the most torturous thing I've ever lived through. You can't hide from the light, and you can't even shut your eyes. And the worst part about all of this was that this attack was a case of mistaken identity. The man who carried out this attack had simply got the wrong house.
The case is still new. We're still discovering facts. Incomprehensible cruelty. The father that stands before you lined up his 3 young boys, and he executed them in his own home with a rifle. They were ages 3, 4, and 7, Judge. In an act of desperation to save her children, the mother at some point grabbed the gun. The father was was able to flee into a field near the home. And again, we know from his admission, father hunted that boy down, drug him back to the property, and executed him in front of witnesses. The mother was shot through the hand in her attempt to protect her children. To just begin to imagine their fear. This was the man that every day they woke up looking to for protection, love, guidance in all things. The man they trust more than any other person on earth. The person they rely upon to keep them safe from harm. He was their world, he was their guardian, and he executed them in cold blood. We know that from his admission. One of the most monstrous, craven, cowardly acts that will ever be our misfortune to see. To make things even more disturbing, Judge, this was no haphazard act. Again, by his own admission, he planned the acting on a whim. He's confessed to what I believe is the worst crime, at least I hope, that I'll see in my lifetime. I hope it's the worst fact pattern that ever comes before this court. Judge,
I go to fall asleep while he's playing these videos, and I wake up and I hear this heavy breathing sound, and he's literally touching himself over my sleeping body. I laid there frozen, and I knew, like, okay, Savannah, if you open your eyes, if you move more than you would normally move if you're sleeping, he might try to force you to participate. Like, he might try to, like, I don't know, like rape you, or like, I just know that I don't want to have sex with this person. He finished and went to the bathroom. I looked for my phone and it wasn't there. And I was just thinking, like, I've been gone for, I don't even know what time it is. I need to get back. And then I guess I fell back asleep sometime when he was like in the shower. And I wake up and he's making eggs, like as if nothing happened. And I look at the phone, it's like probably 5, 6, 7 p.m. the next day. But I'm like, oh my God, my roommates need to know where I am. It's like the next day. I didn't plan to be out this long. And he's like, oh no, don't worry, love. Why are you worrying about these things? I'm here for you. Then he starts saying stuff like out of nowhere, casual, like, when we have babies, they won't be vaccinated. And how he's picked an island for us to go live on to repopulate the planet when it's eventually completely taken out by nuclear warfare. And I'm like, I really need my phone. And I realize at this point, while I'm searching around the bed, searching around the pillows, he has my phone. I finally give myself permission to allow myself to be heard. And I was like, I need to connect to Wi-Fi to talk to my roommates about when I'll be back. I don't even remember how I convinced him to give me my phone and let me connect to Wi-Fi. I finally do, and I have all these messages from a few of my flatmates who were like, we're getting really worried. And I'm like, it's okay. I was downplaying it because, to be honest, I thought there was nothing that insane going on. So I tell him I'm going to take a phone call outside. And he tells me, what are you doing? You don't need to leave. And he walks over to the door and he looks at me and he goes like this for me to give him my phone. When he did that, his energy and the look in his eyes shifted from this like fake happy guy who's gonna drive you around everywhere to like, I just like handed over my phone. I just knew like it was another moment where like, do you want to see where this might escalate to? Then he just stopped and like went back to like in the kitchen making eggs again, like everything's normal and we're having brunch.
Let's talk about the most childish and unprofessional TikToker I've ever worked with. About 3 months ago is when I first heard of Brylorn. By, like most of us, her song Call Me Back.
Couldn't even call me back today.
Now, I thought it'd be fun to try and remix this, so I did, bringing it from this
Couldn't even call me back today.
To this.
Couldn't even call me back today. Couldn't even call me back today.
Brylorn heard this and was interested in releasing it herself. And I was happy for her too, as long as I was credited properly as a featured artist. When this song is released, I am not credited at all, but after reaching back out to her, my name is put onto the release within a few days. Seemed like a simple mistake. Brylorn reached out to me again, wanting me to mix or tune some of the vocals for the songs for her upcoming album, as well as make some of the beats. She doesn't explicitly say this, but she wants me to do it for free. I'm a 16-year-old artist from Australia, and I need any exposure I can get, so I agree. Once the album is released, there are crediting issues again. I am only featured on the tracks where I made the beats, not on all the tracks, even though I tuned and worked on the vocals on every single track on that album. And we agreed to me being featured on every song as I was working for her for free. I decided to just leave it, as there had already been so many other minor issues leading up to this, and I was honestly just sick of it all. I didn't plan on doing any more work with her after that, and the next time she contacted me, asking me to mix her vocals, I said I was busy, but I would try and still get it done. She ended up releasing the song before I could even look at it anyway. About a month goes by, and I go back to check on her Spotify just for fun, and I notice that she has removed my name from every song I worked with her on. I am not credited at all anymore on anything, just because I decided to stop working with her. Mind you, I got her from here.
That's true friends, they gon' love you to the end.
To here.
That's true friends, they gon' love you to the end. They gon' love you on pretend.
She sent me this.
In a storm that isn't known, I'll just dance the pain away. I'll just dancing in the rain. I'll just dance.
And I got it to this.
Dancing in the storm, in a storm that isn't known. I'll just dance the pain away. I'll just dancing in the rain. I'll just dance the pain away.
And one of the beats even has my voice in it, and I'm not credited anymore. Brylorn, if you're not going to credit me for what I did, please take down my hard work that you're getting paid for.
I cannot believe it's been 7 whole years since little Nathan O'Brien, who was only 5 years old at the time, and his grandparents Alvin and Catherine Lickness went missing from their own home. For 2 weeks, the Amber Alert that went out completely shook all of Canada. Everyone was looking for this family. I remember it, and I was living in Eastern Canada at that time, over in New Brunswick. They were in Alberta, which is like all the way over on the other side of the country. This case was everywhere at the time, but I didn't even know all of the details of what happened to them until I looked at it today. So on June 29th, 2014, little Nathan O'Brien, who was such a grandma's boy, like he adored his grandmother, had the choice from his parents of whether he wanted to go to the zoo or spend time with his grandparents, and he chose his grandparents, which I just think speaks to what a wonderful child Nathan must have been. That afternoon, he was spotted at the park with his grandfather playing, and then that evening, he asked his mother if they could all have a sleepover at his grandparents' house. His mother, Jennifer, said yes, and she was actually going to stay at the family house too. But around midnight, her little one started acting up, so she gathered him up and took him home, leaving just Nathan and his grandparents at the house. And honestly, when I read that, that gave me such chills for what happened next. The next morning around 8 a.m. when Jennifer showed up at her parents' house to collect her son, it was apparent a violent act had happened inside it overnight. There was blood all over the house, and on the way out the door, there was a smeared small handprint. Catherine, Alvin, and their grandson were all missing. Jennifer frantically called police, who told her to get in her car immediately and lock the car doors because someone could still be in the house. Police arrived and searched the home several times just because if Nathan had gotten scared, they thought maybe he's hidden still somewhere in the house, too scared to come out, but he wasn't there. Police determined that all three of them were alive when they left the house, even with the blood left on the scene. So they immediately issued an Amber Alert. This Amber Alert would be lifted in about 2 weeks on July 14th, not because they found Nathan or his grandparents. In fact, they would never fully find Nathan or his grandparents, but because police had their suspect in custody. This is Douglas Garland. He was 57 years old at the time, and he was actually a previous employee of Alvin, Nathan's grandfather. His sister had actually called police on him because his truck was similar to the one they'd been looking for. While police held Garland in jail over a fake ID charge that had happened years before, they searched his farm. Well, I shouldn't say his farm. He was still living at his parents' farm at 57 years of age in their basement, but anyways. But personally for me, what police would end up finding at this farm really makes me wonder if this was the first crime like this that Garland had committed.
Give me 3 seconds of your time. I want to compare two things really quick. And also, trigger warning.
Chris Belter, and don't forget that name, pled guilty to brutally raping not one, but 4 teenage girls during parties at his parents' house. Do you want to guess how many years this guy got in prison? 0. Judge Matthew Murphy said that after praying on it, and I am not paraphrasing, he said, "I am not ashamed to say that after praying on it, jail time would be inappropriate for Chris Belter."
So, you know those cases that you hear about and you dwell on it for like a month or two, and then it kind of like slips your brain a little bit, and then somebody brings it back up and you're like, oh, that case. Yeah, I fucking remember that case. This little boy is Jordan Brown. In 2009, he was 11 years old, and he was sentenced to life in prison for shooting and killing his mom. Except he didn't shoot and kill his mom at all. So the backstory on this case is that this boy woke up one morning, he went to school. While he was at school, his little sister, I don't remember if she was 4 years old or 7 years old. Regardless, she was a small child. She woke up to the sound of a gunshot. The phone rang, she picked up the phone, the person asked to speak to her mother, she went to get her mother, and her mother was shot dead. This little boy gets home from school and he's placed in handcuffs and they arrest him. Like I said, him and his family, mostly him and his dad, are hunters. They go hunting all the time. 2 days prior, I believe they were at a shooting contest or something of the sort. So the jacket that he wore at the shooting contest was also the same jacket that he wore to school that day. So obviously he had a little bit of gunpowder residue on his jacket, and any normal human being with a brain would go, okay, the gunpowder is from the shooting contest that he was at 2 days prior. But no, police gripped onto that and they said, nope, you did it. There's gun residue on your jacket. You did it, little boy. They also claimed that there were like bullet casings in the driveway, which is like, if anybody knows anything about hunters, there's bullet casings everywhere. Like, my dad loves hunting. If you go in my dad's yard, you'll find 57 billion bullet casings. You look in his driveway, bullet casings. You look in his field, bullet casings. You look in the woods, bullet casings. They're literally everywhere. The police did not test the doorknob to the house to see if there were anybody else's fingerprints on it. They did not check this little boy's hands for blood, gunpowder residue, etc. They didn't test his hands at all. And something else that I want to point out is that his clothes were clean. And yet somehow the police, the detectives, etc., who were on the case, I don't think they realized that an 11-year-old cannot plan a murder. His dad said Jordan couldn't even plan his own birthday party, let alone a murder. And this little boy sat in jail until he was, I forget if he was 18 or 20 years old, before he was released from prison. He lost the most important years of his life as a human being. As a human being, 11 to 20 are the most important years of your life. There was no physical evidence that he committed this murder, and he told the exact same story for almost 10 years of what happened that day. Him and his dad did tons of interviews, and they're super interesting if you want to go check those out.
Did you all know that one of the actors in Austin Powers is currently serving a life sentence for murder in Blank?
Smashing idea, man.
This is Joe's son, and on Christmas of 1990, he and one of his friends committed one of the most brutal rapes I've ever heard about in my life. A woman who who publicly goes by the name of Victoria had just finished up being at a friend's house where they had gone around looking at all the Christmas lights in the neighborhood with her dog. As she got out of her car, she put her dog Jessie inside of her coat and 2 men cornered her and attacked her. Her dog Jessie fought back and bit one of the men, startling them, and Victoria threw Jessie into the bushes to try to keep her safe. Victoria then ran, but unfortunately one of the men caught her by the hair and threw her into the car, kidnapping her and taking her to a beach where they violently assaulted her for hours. Joe's son saying to her at one point, "Bitch, you're gonna die tonight. I'm going to fucking kill you." According to Victoria, he was the ringleader of the assault. She thinks the only thing that saved her that night was one of her friends had just had a baby and she had the photo of the baby in her wallet, and she told the 2 men that that was her kid and she needed to go home and take care of him. She thinks they must have believed this lie because soon they threw her out on the ground and they were making her crawl away. Joe then got down on her level, gun pointed to her head, and said, "By the way, bitch, Merry fucking Christmas. Run." She ran, making it to a nearby house just clad in a jacket and her pants wrapped around her eye. The police were called and investigators actually took Victoria back to her apartment where they searched for evidence while she searched for her dog Jessie. Miraculously, Victoria found her dog Jessie. She was safe, and she said that the investigators were jumping up and down when she found her dog and crying tears of joy, saying, "She found her, she found her." And Victoria was safe too, but her injuries were severe. She had a dislocated shoulder. The majority of her teeth were extremely loose because she'd been held at gunpoint all evening and the gun had been shoved violently into her mouth several times. Part of her jaw was unhinged and she had lost partial hearing. And one of the articles that I read said that Victoria actually had to relearn how to walk. At that point, investigators actually thought that this was going to be a quick case to solve. They had the DNA samples of 2 perpetrators that had been found on Victoria's person and on her jacket, but it would take 18 years to figure out who had done this. Because of a plea deal concerning a vandalism charge, they actually got Joe's son's DNA and ran it, and it came up as a match for this attack. And after Victoria had been able to identify him in a photo lineup that investigators had sent her, she was furious. She said she ran over to her rack by her TV and pulled out the movie Austin Powers and destroyed it. She couldn't believe that after all this time, after all this trauma that she had had to go through, that this man, unknown to her, had been in her home the entire time. And soon there would be another DNA match for a man named Santiago Gaetan. So police finally had their 2 perpetrators in custody, but guess what? The statute of limitations had run out on kidnapping and rape, meaning that these 2 dangerous offenders could have possibly gotten off scot-free. But thankfully, investigators had something else up their sleeve.
Hey, 911, where is your emergency?
My house,
What's the address?
152 River Creek Lane.
Okay, what's the emergency?
I just killed my mom and my sister.
What?
I just killed my mom and my sister.
You just killed your mother and your sister? How did you do that?
I shot him with a 22 revolver.
And what is your name?
Jake Evans.
Jay Evans?
Jake Evans.
Are you sure they're dead?
Yes.
I want you to stay on the phone with me, okay? Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Hold on just a minute. Where is the gun?
On the kitchen counter.
Okay. It's a 22?
Yes.
Okay. Hold on. Jake, hold on. Stay on the line with me, okay?
Alright.
Jake,
Yes.
are you on any kind of medication?
No. Well, I've been going to the allergist a lot lately.
Yeah.
But no, nothing other than that.
Okay. How old are you?
17.
You don't take any other kind of medication?
I mean, other than like Zyrtec and like Advil and, like Sudafed and stuff like that, for the allergies and headaches, but
Yeah.
no.
Okay. Do you, is there any reason that you were so angry at your mother and your sister?
I don't know, I wasn't, it's weird, I wasn't even really angry with them, it just kinda happened. I've been kinda, planning on, killing for a while now.
The 2 of them or just anybody?
Pretty much anybody.
Why?
I don't know, I don't really like, people's, kinda attitude.
Right.
I think it's kinda, they're very, like, emotional, I don't know, verbally rude to each other and stuff like that.
Right.
And, I don't know.
It's okay.
It's just my family, I don't know, they're just kind of really, I guess this is really selfish to say, but to me, I felt like they were just suffocating me in a way. I don't know. I think, obviously, you know, I'm pretty, I guess, evil, but, that's, you know, whatever.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. It's all right. I'm listening. Okay, you have my undivided attention. Were your mom and sister in their beds?
No, this is really gonna mess me up for this, you know, in the future. See, my sister, I told my sister that my mom needed her.
Mm-hmm.
She was in her room, and she came out of her room, and I shot her, and she rolled down the stairs, and I shot her again, and then I went down and I shot my mom about maybe 3 or 4 times, but I'll never forget this.
Okay, that's fine.
My sister, she came down the stairs and she was screaming, and I was telling her that I'm sorry, but to just hold still,
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, I was just gonna make it go away, you know, but she just kept on freaking out. But finally, she fell down and I shot her in the head about probably 3 times.
So they're both downstairs?
Yeah.
Okay, where are you?
In the kitchen.
Okay. You're not sitting by the gun, are you?
No, it's not like 10 or 15 feet away from.
That's all right. Where's your dad?
He's out of town.
Do you know where he is? Out of town?
Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And, for, I guess, future reference, I don't really want to see any of my family members, you know, like it and visiting or whatever. I don't know how it works or anything, but I just don't want any type of visitors. I don't want to see.
Okay. Where do you go to school, Jake?
Well, I used to go to Leo High School, but now I'm kind of being homeschooled.
Yeah. So there's just you and your sister and your mom and dad in the house? Live
Well,
there?
no, my dad's out of town.
Well, yeah, but normally it's just your mom and your sister and your dad and you.
Yeah, and my grandpa and grandma, they live across the street, and my oldest sister, she lives with my grandparents, and I have another sister, and she's out in college. She was gonna come out to visit us tomorrow.
You don't want to hurt yourself, do you?
A little freaked out about guns now.
Oh, sure. But you don't want to hurt yourself.
I don't know. I definitely, you know, I assure you, I definitely don't like myself, you know. But I'm just so freaked out by guns now, and just to let you know, like, I hate the feeling of killing someone. I'm gonna be messed up.
There are people that will help you. Well, you just take a deep breath. We have deputies coming, and they're going to help you. We're here to help you, too, okay? We're going to help you. We're not going to hurt you, all right?
I understand if you'll want to.
No, we're not going to hurt you. We're there to help you, Jake. All right, everybody thinks that, you know, we want to do bad things, but we don't. We want to help people. Right or wrong, we want to help people, and we're going to help you, okay? Do you understand that?
Yeah.
We're also here to help. Jake, where's the kitchen in the house? Is it the back of the house?
Yeah, kind of to the back, I guess.
Okay. We're talking with our sergeant now. He's almost at your house. What I'll probably ask you to do, Jake, is when he gets there, is turn your porch light on.
All right.
Okay. Okay, and what he'll probably do is ask you to come out. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. So you'll be all right. You're going to be all right. Okay?
Alright.
Okay, I'm going to stay on the phone with you, though, and talk with you. That's okay. And you can talk to me. I'll listen. Is there anything you want to talk about?
No, not really.
Jake, would you mind going to the front door and turning the porch light on, or any lights that you have outside?
I turned them on.
Okay, okay. Call 414, or correction, call 404. My caller has turned the front lights on for you. Are you okay, Jake?
I'm thinking about my sister.
Yeah. How old is she?
She's 15.
15?
Yeah. She was, I don't know. She had a really sweet side, but you know, she was kind of racist, and I don't know, kind of rude to me sometimes. As it
Yeah. Yeah.
oh man,
You'll be all right, Jake. Okay? You'll be all right.
I'm like really worried about like, you know, like nightmares and stuff like that. Are there any type of medication for that and stuff?
Well, I think there is. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but you know, the justice system, and I'm sure your family will get you the support you need.
I don't mean to sound like a wimp or anything, but you know, this is wow. I've never like done anything violent in my whole life, you know.
You don't sound like a violent person. No, you don't.